We are now, where we're going, some of the statistics that Senator Udicek mentioned, we'll cover here. We're at 12 billion cubic feet. We're soon to surpass 13. So it's growing faster than anyone possibly could have imagined. I speak really quick, so if you need me to slow down, let me know, and then after the panelists are done, we'll certainly have some time for questions and answers. Just real quick about the Marcellus Shale Coalition. We have approximately 300 members. We work on their behalf for the long-term development of the resource, for the benefits of the region. 96% of the gas produced in the Marcellus are produced from our members. PA currently produces 10% of the nation's gas and a quarter of the onshore domestic shale gas. Right now, again, as we said, 12 billion cubic feet of natural gas production per day. That's over the 4 trillion mark when you start to look at from an annual amount of gas. Jobs. This is really what it's all about. You'll see on the table here on your way out, American energy equals American jobs. No time again do we need to be dependent on foreign sources of oil or natural gas. And just here in the Marcellus, the current direct and indirect related numbers, 230,000 people, more than that, working currently in the Marcellus. Our average direct salary is $83,000 a year. That's $35,000 more than the average Pennsylvania wage. From an indirect standpoint, our ancillary jobs, whether it be machinist, water supply, engineering services, that average is $65,000 a year. The supply chain. This is a very unique industry. We have some of our big companies, when we talk about a Southwestern, EQT, WPX, well, they have partners underneath them. And so when you really look, it's a pyramid. When you go down from that pyramid, it gets wider. And so there are a lot of folks that are working within that industry. And when we start out in the center of that oil and gas ring, and we start to move out to the supplies, the services, the tertiary, everything from mom and pops, hotels, schools, that's what we consider the supply chain. It's important to note that our industry is broken up into 3 segments. And so those of you that are looking to do business within the industry, you need to figure out where do you actually fit. Are you in the upstream side, which talks about the drilling and pulling the gas out of the ground? Whether it's in the midstream, gathering it, moving it to markets, and the downstream, being able to use that. From a job phase, we go from the pre-drilling, the exploration, where is the gas, how do we get it, to the actual drilling component, the production, and then that delivery to the market. Some interesting facts about the Marcellus. It takes on average about $7 million to complete a well, and this is just an amazing number. 400 plus individuals within 150 different business sectors to do a well from start to finish. So from an engineering group, preparing the permits, to somebody clearing the pad, to somebody coming, reseeding it, folks delivering food, taking that gas to market parts. But just think about that from an opportunity standpoint. Over 150 different occupations needed. And in these occupations, and I'll run through these rather quickly, site construction and preparation, everything from laborers, electricians, heavy equipment operators, well construction, casing and drilling of the well, cranes, haulers, drill bits, steel manufacturers, moving the material, CDL drivers, GPS analysis, road grading, paving contractors, water management, water and sand suppliers, transportation companies, assemblers, the pipelines. This is where we're seeing the most activity currently in the Marcellus, certainly in northeastern Pennsylvania. Chris Staffel from Williams will talk a little bit more about that. And then completing that site, using everything from other energy sources like solar panels to help operate that site, metering device manufacturers, landscaping companies. Our members have a commitment to source locally. We don't want to have to go to Texas or Louisiana or Oklahoma to get the products or services or the people that we have right here in our backyard. And so our members have a commitment that wherever possible, we're constantly training, constantly forming new partnerships to be able to bring those local folks, those local jobs. From the supply chain, how do you get into it? How do you get involved? First is to understand the industry, the culture, the contractual nature, the compliance component. We place a tremendous emphasis on safety, different insurances, different regulations, the vendor requirements. You need to know your product or service, offer those solutions, network and build relationships. I can't stress, and I know Matt Henderson from Penn State also will talk about those networking opportunities. It's probably one of the #1 things of how companies be able to get to do business within the industry. and then meet and exceed the expectations. Know that there's a competitor waiting to take your place. You get one shot, and it's a great shot, but if you screw up or if you don't meet those expectations, there's somebody else willing to come in behind you. Again, safety. Between the federal, state, and company, mandatory health, safety training, and testing for employees. Prime contractors and subs must be compliant as well. Our well sites are all over Pennsylvania or West Virginia or Ohio, so it's the ability to move within the industry. Continuous operations. This is not a 9-to-5 type of job. This is a 24/7 with non-traditional hours, depending upon, again, where you're working. You might be outside, you might be working long shifts, there might be some travel required. Contracting and subcontracting. This is a big component. As I mentioned, we have the bigger companies and then they sub everything out. And so that prime contractor holding a master contract with the operator and then subs underneath there for a particular service or product. On-site services, again, very safety sensitive, having material supplies and other services, as well as off-site. Risk management tools. IS&net world is probably one of the most important things that if you're a contractor, if you're a laborer, that you need to be on. Because our companies will look at to see what type of score a company has from a safety standpoint. So IS&net world is very important. Vendor enrollment, every single company is different. So there is not a one-size-fits-all model. Master service agreements, I know Matt will talk a little bit more about that, but that's what our company uses in terms of doing projects together, and then looking at those opportunities, whether it's a long-term engagement, a current bid, an RFQ, or a one-time. This is something that everybody should be on if you have a small business. This is our online directory for the coalition. It's $25 a year, so it's certainly not cost prohibitive to be that, but that's how we reach out to companies. So when a partner like Shell is doing a vendor webinar, we'll reach out and do it through here. This is a great way for your company to get exposure because we push our members when they need something to come to Marcellus on Main Street. And now from an opportunity standpoint. Obviously, North America is not the only place that there's shale. There's vast shale reserves throughout the world. And you can see between China, Australia, Europe, South America, Mexico, some great opportunities to also produce natural gas. Here in the United States, the Marcellus is just one of many plays. Obviously, we know that here in Pennsylvania, we have the Utica. Out in western PA, they're starting to tap into the upper Devonian, so that's a new shale layer that they've been tapping into. And then you'll see down to the Haynesville, the Eagle Ford, the Fayetteville, Woodford, all throughout the United States. Through 2010 and 2012, we drilled over 4,500 wells with approximately $31.5 billion in private investment. That number for 2013 is expected to be almost half that. So you can see the potential growth that's here. And you can see where the activity is taking place. The Northeast is the sweet spot. In the Marcellus, 8 out of the 10 biggest wells are located in Susquehanna County. Out in western PA, there's more of a wet gas opportunity. Again, this is to show where a lot of the activity is taking place. The purple dots are the upper Devonian, the blue dots are the Utica, and then the green is the Marcellus. Something to note, while rig counts have traditionally been lighter than they were when everything started, because of certainly the price of natural gas and trying to get it to market, production numbers have been up. And so what that means simply is that the wells that we're hitting are producing more gas than we ever thought was possible. Just some real quick economic numbers. The overall taxes that the industry has paid since 2006 is over $1.8 billion. State and local taxes, $1.23 billion. Road construction. We don't like driving on potholes any more than you all do. And so our companies are out there every day putting in new roads, fixing bridges. We have a horrible situation in Pennsylvania from a transportation standpoint with our bridges and the infrastructure. But our companies alone have spent over $1 billion to replace them. Royalty payments in 2011 to the state were $107 million. And back in 2010, okay, and remember Susquehanna County being that sweet spot, but in 2010, royalty payments to landowners was $133 million. That was 3 years ago. Permitting enforcement fees to DEP to increase personnel, $40 million, and then the impact fee, something that we don't want to lose sight of. Every community in Pennsylvania is getting impact fee money. Every county, whether there's drilling or not, has the ability to get some of that $400 million. It's probably one of the best things that we certainly think is going on right now. When you talk to the county commissioners in Bradford, when you talk to folks all across the state, having this money come in, this impact fee from the well, so that they're able to go out and fix their infrastructure, to do economic development. When you break that number down, everything from a state standpoint, to local governments, to the Fish and Boat Commission, the Department of Transportation, the pheasant population in Pennsylvania is at one of its all-time highs because of the money that's being able to go back to these agencies. And then when you look at that local government, boroughs and cities, $12 million. This is between the 2 years. Townships, $112 million, and counties, $75 million. This number will only continue and will hopefully grow. We talk about some of the savings for consumers. Obviously, we're producing more electricity using natural gas. That's resulting in savings in people's pocketbooks. If you run oil and you have the ability to switch to natural gas, your savings are about over $1,200 a year. You can see that for years, oil and gas have continued to follow itself up and down. But because of the Marcellus, because of horizontal drilling, we've been able to see that decoupling. While oil has a tendency to go up, natural gas is continuing to decline. And this chart, what it shows is electric power generation in this country. Coal was always our #1 generator of electricity. But you can see last year, natural gas started to overtake coal as the largest generator, and that number is increasing. We're seeing new power plants being built. We're seeing that in Bradford, like Coleman County, new generation capabilities coming on with natural gas. A buzzword, something to be thinking about that you'll hear more and more, are these CHP units. They're giant generators. This is taken from the rooftop of the Four Seasons Hotel in Philadelphia. What these generators do is they take gas to make their electricity. So they're generating about 1/3 of their electricity in the hotel at a cheaper cost than just paying for the electricity. And there's a byproduct here. It's called heat. They're capturing that heat, and they're using that heat to heat all of the water in the hotel. So when you turn the faucet on, they're getting free heat. Procter & Gamble is doing the same thing. Procter & Gamble has drilled their own wells. They're producing so much gas, they're able to put it back out on the grid. They're using these generators to generate their electricity. They're using the heat to dry their paper products. And they're using the gas that's coming out in forms of CNG and converting their tractor trailers, their trucks, their cars, as well as their affiliates, their customers, their partners to run on CNG. Just a tremendous opportunity. This is an idea of what one of these power plants will look like, building these large turbines. Moxie Energy plans to build 2 of these that will be enough power to power 750,000 homes. So each one of these units being able to provide that. Certainly something that I think is the wave of the future. It's starting to come to northeastern Pennsylvania. Verastro in Scranton recently announced that they'll have a public CNG station, but the average cost of CNG gas is $1.99. Much lower than, obviously, gasoline, much lower than diesel. The unit on the right is a home filling unit, so that if you have natural gas in your home, you would have the ability, through a conversion kit of your car, to be able to fill up your car at home overnight. The mayor of Williamsport has one of these in his garage. And so he plugs in his car overnight and he's able to fill up. The cost of filling up at home right now is about $1 a gallon. So think about that. California is $5 a gallon of gas this year. You can fill up at home for $1. This revolution will be led by the fleet trucks, the FedExes, the UPSs, the waste managements. Johnson College, Lackawanna College are all playing in this field right now, looking to bring this type of education right here to northeastern Pennsylvania, because it's going to be a great opportunity. And when you're able to drive up and down Interstate 81 and see $1.99 for natural gas, it'll really start to hit home. Besides the cost, it's better for the environment. Lower emissions, it's a cleaner burning fuel than gasoline or diesel. And just to talk real quick about this line, this dividing line between out in the Pittsburgh area, this wet gas, dry gas. In the Northeast, we're able to take gas directly out of the ground with the taking off some of the water and literally put it right into the pipeline where you can turn your stove on, you can heat your home. Out in western Pennsylvania, they have more of a wet gas. What does that mean? When we look at wet gas, and this is where really the Marcellus, besides the home heating component, the power generation becomes a really big deal. When you look at that wet gas, if you have the methane, you then break out the liquids. 15% of that is ethane. You get propane from that. You get butane. You get isopentane and a couple other tanes that I'm not really sure what they are. But that's the wet gas component. When you then separate that wet gas, you get that ethylene factor, that ethane. And so this is a really complicated slide, but it's showing oil and gas coming out and either being processed or being driven to market. We've heard a lot of talk about a cracker facility. West Virginia's talking about one, Pennsylvania's talking about one. What a cracker facility means is that you're taking that natural gas, that ethane, and you're breaking it down into the components that we use every single day. So from the shoes that you're wearing, to the tires on your car, to the golf balls that Senator Dietschek hits, to the paint that you're using, all across the board. This is the building block for every single thing that we do in America. And for years, we've imported oil to be able to do this. And now with our own supply of oil out in Western PA, our own supply of ethane, we're able to crack that and use those building blocks. Just from an investment standpoint, there's over $50 billion of new projects planned here in the United States. Companies that have moved to China, that have moved to the Middle East because of a lower energy factor, a lower cost of employment, are coming in droves back to the United States. It's a great opportunity for northeastern Pennsylvania with the infrastructure that we have, with the industrial parks that we have, with the good working work ethics of the folks here to be able to capitalize on this. And then finally, the next big thing that we'll continue to talk about for years to come is exporting. There's so much gas right now, we can't possibly use it. There's over 1,000 wells that we have shut in that we can't get gas to market. And to stabilize that price, the current conversation is looking at doing some type of exporting capabilities within the United States. These are two slides that just came out. We talk about that 12 billion cubic feet, and I know it's hard to see in the back, but what these slides are showing is how fast the Marcellus is growing. When you look at the Eagle Ford, the Haynesville, and other shale plays, when you look at the number of wells that they've had previously to now, just an explosive growth here in the Northeast. Gas production's up, oil production's up. And if you remember nothing else, remember this slide today. We have outpaced Russia as the world's largest supplier of natural gas. This month, we will outpace Saudi Arabia as the largest producer of oil. That number wasn't expected until between 2015 and 2020. But this year, we'll produce more oil than all of Saudi Arabia. So it's just a great opportunity for the United States. Thank you. Next, I'd like to bring up Matt Henderson.